So one of the things I find interesting is how people and organizations actually accomplish large goals. And there's not a lot that we understand about this, but we know, in my view, in the stuff that I've read, it's really just a bunch of series of small steps where you're trying to accomplish something in a gradual, slow way and repeating it over and over and over again. The sort of idea of persistence where you don't give up is perhaps, in my view, one of the most underrated views in this world, right? We often think of big wins or winning some spectacular outcome, whatever that particular thing is. And yet it's often 9 times out of 10, or even it's probably more like 10 times out of 10, it's less than one unusual occurrence that happens that predominantly it's the slow and incremental, trying one little thing, seeing if it works, repeating that, doing that until something actually starts clicking, and just repeating as much as you possibly can, and doing the slow, incremental, boring, tedious work that nobody else wants to do. And it's this idea that, much of the work that actually does matter is not necessarily all that fun to actually do, right? Like there's just not a lot of fun work that I know of that is, that is enjoyable. I mean, even if you think of the fun things, so you might think of like becoming a YouTuber, for example, right? You're forgetting that being a good YouTuber requires hours and hours and hours of doing video editing and doing something that's really boring for a long time, right? Like they're going to shoot many different videos just to get one that actually works. And, we forget about that stuff. We sort of focus on the pizzazz and the sort of sensationalism and not think about the long, boring, tedious stuff that actually creates something, right? You think about a Fortune 500 CEO, and you might think about all the money that they have and the wealth and the power and all of that, but what we don't realize is being a CEO of a Fortune 500 company is, no, I don't, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
All right. Is being just a dumping ground of just lots of people dumping on you and, you trying to solve these particular things. And that's the challenge, right? Is thinking about how do you get people to, sort of see what is, what the reality is. And that the reality is just doing incremental little tiny steps that are really incredibly boring. And it doesn't matter the career, right? You might think about a professional athlete or, somebody that's in the NFL or NBA. You don't see is that, 7-8 hours a day, they're practicing the same throw over and over and over again. It's such a tedious, boring experience. And, often very difficult to do. And yet we never focus on anything like that. We should be focusing on that story and showing what it's actually like, showing the repetition that you're going to experience every day. And I think if we showed more of that and the boringness of the world, I think people have a much better idea of how things actually get done, what it actually looks like, and that, it's just a matter of the showing up every day. And I think that's the key thing. It's almost everything is like that. It's not about cognitive abilities. Maybe it is cognitive intelligence, be able to do that, but I doubt it. It's the ability to just get up and get going, repeat many times over until you're either spectacularly bored or you're just exhausted, and you just do that every day, every single day. The repetition, the incremental, the small, and that's it. You just keep repeating those things and forgetting about everything else that comes from it. I mean, I think about building the pyramids, for example, right? Like how boring and laborious and painful it would have been. I mean, the costs of building those things is astronomical, and yet they were built. And, that's something to pay attention to, right? We don't pay attention to things that were just the day-to-day. It was the things that are spectacular, and the costs that are associated with them, and every major human endeavor is really about doing those really cool things. And those really cool things just require a great deal of incremental work, boredom, just laborious study, whatever it is. And that's really it, over and over and over again.